Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Um, wow, it was like kind of nerve-wracking starting this. I was like moving around all day, just like fixing this for like the past 2 hours, getting all this work together. No, anyways, I want to talk a little bit about my experiences traveling. That's the main goal here, is to hopefully I've traveled a lot in my time on this earth so far, and I really think it's been one of the most impactful things to help me grow as a person and get to the point where I am today. And I really think, I mean, if anything, it's just given me incredible memories and incredible experiences that like just define who I am and define the way that I move in the world and the way I talk to people. And it's really been great. I'm really here. I really want to, start a channel and start posting videos of like my travel journals and my experiences traveling, because I have a lot to say. And I want to do that to hopefully inspire other people online in the world, wherever, to also consider traveling as an option for themselves in their life. I'm here to give a little bit of my experiences so that maybe that can, interest you, or I don't know, pique your interest or whatever, get you a little bit inspired. So hopefully, the story that I'll tell today will do a little bit of that. So let's get started. So about 2 years ago, I was traveling with my uncle and my aunt. Well, I did it. It was a solo travel. I went to Japan, and my uncle lives in Japan with my aunt, who's Japanese. I visited them, and they live in Matsuyama, which is a city down south, and we were having a really pleasant time. It's just a smaller city in Japan. It's not the big hustle and bustle of like Osaka, Kyoto, or Tokyo. And Matsuyama, really, definitely not. And they're really famous for their hot springs too. And one day, my aunt's brother, he's a big fisher, and he decided to take us all out fishing off an island that's right next to Matsuyama. My uncle asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, yes. Why would I pass that down? Like, fishing in Japan? Are you kidding me? So he picked us up, and we drove about 20 minutes to this dock. That was, yeah, it was just, we had to take a dock to get to the spot where we would go fishing. And yeah, and like while on the drive there, we passed by a reservoir that was like so pretty that I had passed by earlier. And it was like this nice little winding bridge that went over this like still water that was really, it was just really cool. I don't know. I in my journal, I wrote that, and maybe it was significant to me at the time, but we stopped at the dock and we sort of walked around, bided our time because we got there pretty early. And my aunt, she went and bought some food, and I was just walking around with my uncle, and we happened across this older man who was sitting by the edge of the pier, or like the concrete cliffside that like leads into the water. And it was just a really tranquil sight, because this old man, he had like a fishing line or a fishing pole that was 20 feet long. I've never seen a fishing pole that big. What made it such a capturing image for me was that there was like this heron that was like sitting next to him, and he was perfectly still. The heron was perfectly still, and it was really cool to see almost both of them like coexisting together. And I wish I had snapped a photo, so sorry about that. Oh yeah, and the image of the man with the heron, I mean, it kind of reminded me of that Ghibli movie of like Boy and the Heron. And I mean, like Japan, like any feeling you get from a Ghibli movie is so accurate. I mean, to the actual reality of Japan, it's such a beautiful country, and the people are so kind, and they're so interesting. They have so much to say, and I'd really recommend going if you have the chance to. And this man sitting there with his heron, I mean, it was really just peaceful. From there, we put my uncle's car on a boat, and we took a ferry across to the island, because you have to drive around the island, obviously. It's a pretty big island, so not obviously, but whatever. Yeah, and we drove over to we took the boat over to the island. We stopped there. We went and got some snacks. I got some weird like pizza chips or something. Not like it was weirder than like the pizza Pringles or whatever. Yeah, it was really strange. I just remember it being really strange. And we went from there, and we kind of drove around. We stopped at a place, and I think we just walked around a little bit. It was like this little rest stop. There was this like building, and there was like a sparrow stuck in the building, and it was kind of sad, to be honest. You kind of wanted to let it out, but you couldn't really figure out a way. It was a little sad. From there, we moved on. We took a little drive because we still had some time before we were fishing, and this is one of the most memorable moments of this night. Was we drove up this cliffside, and we just wanted to see the island a little bit. We took a little stop at this park that was on the cliffside that eventually fell through through some fields into an evergreen forest and then into the ocean. And in this field before the evergreen forest that fell into the ocean, there was this beautiful like meadow of purple and green and vibrant flowers that just popped, that just were so gorgeous within the backdrop of the islands and the ocean in front of us. And I remember there were like two dogs that were running around in the in the meadow, like running through the grass, and it was just really like, wow, I've never seen something like this beautiful in my life. This is so gorgeous. And yeah. And from there was this old man that we also found there, and my aunt started talking to him, and apparently he was the guy who took care of this little meadow. And I'll share some pictures just so like we can be on the same page, because this was hands down one of the most gorgeous spots I've ever been to. And we were all just standing there. I don't think I was old enough to take it for granted. Oh, excuse me. I don't think I was old enough to fully understand or be present where I was. And I think I was taking it for granted because it really was just like the perfect image. The most beautiful painting in the world would be painted of this spot. So, anywho, and from there, this is where we actually start fishing. And it's late afternoon, leaning on sunset. We start fishing, and I end up being the best. Somehow I end up catching 4 fish, which is surprising because we're in the afternoon, and fish don't usually come in the afternoon. They're usually pretty early in the morning that fish show up. And yeah, so I got really, really lucky, and it was interesting because I was like perched up on this big concrete slab that I kind of had to like straddle on both sides, and I was like, I was throwing horizontally the fishing line down the pier, I suppose, into the water, because you had to aim for the shallow areas and you'd probably get more fish. The fish were super small, but they were really cool to look at because they're really, really pretty. I don't know if they were lionfish, because if they were, I was being a little bit too liberal with the way I was touching them, and that could have been, like fucking deadly. But my uncle, I remember, like I called him recently just to make sure I had all the facts straight. And he was like, oh yeah, I had a pretty good night. I caught a few telephone poles. Yeah, I guess I was the luckiest one, but it was so amazing. And what really I want to tell you about this story is that it was as we were finishing up the fishing expedition that we happened to be on, that I happened to be on. I don't know how I ended up here. Yeah, as we were finishing up fishing and as we were packing up and leaving, the sun was setting behind the island. We were facing east, so the sun was setting west behind the island. And the light that it was casting on the clouds above, the clouds were like straddling the top of the mountain and climbing and falling and rippling over into the ocean that was in front of us, facing back towards Matsuyama. And I remember vividly looking back at my aunt and my uncle and seeing that and being really awestruck about how I could be in such a beautiful place. I mean, I went sunset fishing in Japan. I mean, I'm not complaining. And I guess the moral of this story is that while this story isn't, insane, it's not like I got super inebriated and had a crazy night out in Prague or something. It was more that I had a really normal experience for some people. I'm very grateful that I got to live as a local in a way. I wasn't being a tourist to live in it and to not just use it for your own personal gain in a way. I don't know. I'm getting all philosophical. Whatever. But this can be much more discussed in a future video. But for now, I'm glad that I shared that story with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It was such a beautiful night and really some really vivid memories and vivid images that still stay with me today from that day, and still stay with me today from that day. And I don't know. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for listening to my first YouTube video. I hope to create many more. Thank you.